now, have you? Possibly, yeah. We'll have when it gets it going to get there and it's just a combo. Well,
Good evening, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. Will you please stand to receive the Deputy Town Mayor of Biddle, Councillor Nigel Yates, and the Chief Officer, Mrs. Sarah Hayden. Call upon Pastor Liz Holcroft to offer a prayer for tonight's meeting.
God, we thank you this evening for everyone gathered in this space. We thank you for their time that's given freely, Lord God, for the benefit of our town, Lord. We thank you, Lord, that they do it wholeheartedly when it often can be a thankless task. But as the community of Biddle, we're thankful for everything that is done, and we just commit this meeting tonight to you, all the items that will be discussed. I pray your blessing, I pray your wisdom as decisions are made. Oh God, we pray for the future of Biddle this coming year, that there will be advancements, there will be improvement, and Biddle will be a better place because of the people that serve here on our behalf. In Jesus' name, amen.
Right, please be seated. Thank you and good evening, everybody. I'm taking proceedings today because the Mayor, Kenny Harper, is poorly at the moment, so we wish him a speedy and full recovery. And I'd like to wish everybody here and anybody who's viewing, I hope you all had a happy Christmas. And I'd like to wish you all a very happy, prosperous, and most of all, healthy New Year. So thank you very much. I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting has been recorded and will be uploaded to the Biddle Town Council YouTube page. The aim is that decision making should be transparent and in the public domain, which will involve more of our community in local democracy. By being in this council chamber, you are consenting to being recorded and for your image to be added to YouTube. The images and sound may be used for training purposes. Any views expressed are the speaker's own and do not necessarily reflect the view of Biddle Town Council. Please view the guidance on recording and public meetings policy if you require more information. Thank you. So moving on to today's agenda, item number 67, as noted on the agenda, public participation. We are due to have a representative from Staffordshire Police, although unless she makes herself known, I don't think she's quite here yet. So in the absence, we'll come back to that if the PCSO turns up. I believe she's on her way from Endon, so hopefully she'll turn up shortly. So we'll move on to Staffordshire County Council representatives. I'd like to say certainly from a town councillor point of view, the two county councillors, which I'm one of them, and Councillor Keith Flunder over there is another one, we do attend at 5 o'clock to go through any particular ward issues which are done, and there's quite a few things which are hot topics at the moment which I'll go through. But first of all, I'd like to hand over to Councillor Keith Flunder.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Right. Start off, thank you. Just say thank you really to Neil Wayne, Nigel, and all the others that helped me at the Christmas light switch on. It was a very cold evening, from what I remember. Quite a bit of frost, and cables were cracking rather than being laid out. So all I can say is thank you very much, both for all the help that you put in. I hope the effects were sufficient and did well and added to your evening's entertainment. And also the excellent food that was served as well by Jill and the mum and all the rest of it. So I just thank you all for that one, just from a contract perspective. It's not often as a contract I get a chance to actually say thank you to those people that have worked with us. So once again, and yes, well, yeah, thank you. Can I revert from the thank you?
You can revert from the thank you.
I'll step aside.
Step aside.
I know when I'm beaten.
Straight on. Straight on.
There we go. Not timed.
Well done. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you. And very good to see you. Yes, we are on public participation and we were waiting for you to fulfill your slot. So if you've got anything which you'd like to present to us, it's very pleased to see the both of you.
I've just had a little check here. our systems, see what's been going on. And ASP has come down quite a bit. There was only 5 jobs that are community-based ASP, which doesn't include like a neighbour, somebody individually. The majority of the ASP that's come in has been the same 3 youngsters who have been targeted now, and we've put them on what's called an acceptable behaviour contract. Since being on them, we haven't had any more jobs reported for them. That's about it, really. It's all been nice and weird.
Don't say the Q word.
Can't say the word.
Yeah. Right.
Is that right? Yeah. I was just going to ask about the spate of thefts. There was a particularly nasty one down at the bottom of John Street where a guy was run over by a car because they tried to nick stuff out of his van. And I think there was a similar, not to that extreme, but is that like died down? Have you got anybody for that?
Seems to have stopped. Unfortunately, I think we believe the vehicle was burnt out. So the CCTV footage was minimal. Couldn't get any identification or we knew the model of the car, but not the registration. And unfortunately, we don't believe we've got anybody for it. But it stopped at the same time. There was 2 or 3 suspicious incidents, one being the one where the gentleman, I think he's trying to get his tools back or something, yeah. But no, unfortunately, I don't think we've got an offender as such. Anyway.
Is there any other questions, any other comments? No, the only comment I'd like to make, oh, sorry. So, Councillor Jackson, you go first, yes.
To ask whether we've got the contact details sorted out yet, so.
Yeah, I just don't, I haven't got a number for PCSO Parry yet. I can send you, if I don't want to send you in 2 emails,
Yeah,
I've got 3 mobile numbers for PCSOs. And I don't know what PCSO Parry's address. No, it's fine. I'll get that and then I'll send you the 4 PCSO numbers that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, the only comment I'd like to make is I have picked up quite a few messages via Facebook and Facebook Messenger about people who are concerned about miscreants potentially walking around and going up people's drives and just checking things. And the main ask was just to increase the visibility of patrols, especially on the estates around, just to show your presence a little bit. So, around about St David's Way, that kind of area, and Pennine Way area. Or just noise as much as anything and convey to it, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
it's
been reported.
No, that's the thing, and I think that's the thing which we have to stress to anybody who's viewing, and obviously councillors here, is use the online reporting system, which creates a database of frequency and probability, doesn't it? Which gives you a chance to actually look at these things, see if we can build up a picture. I know there's a reluctance in some respects to phone 101 at these times because the times which are waiting, but I do believe that the police incident reporting system online is actually very effective, and it is something which is used for analysis. So that is a message to.
Gent that's been homeless, and we've had a couple of reports, and it's turned out to be where he's perhaps walked down someone's drive, not actually committed any offence, but it's obviously unnerving to people when it's happened. But we knew who he is, and when the job come in, we sort of said, "Oh, we know that when you get there," and it is, but he's not done anything, but it doesn't stop it unnerving people if you're walking past your house or walking down your drive. Yeah,
that is a kind of incident which is being reported because obviously a lot of people have these Ring doorbells, and you see these shadow if people walking up a drive, potentially looking at something or not looking at something, and then walking away, and you can imagine that unnerves people if they look back. So that's the thing. But again, I think, I'm sure you'd support me in that, is stressing to report these things, because that builds up your intelligence base, doesn't it, to allow you to.
It shows our boss over at Leak that stuff's happening in Biddles. So rather than take any officers away to deal with the incidents going on where it seems busier on the computer, it's not being reported here, we're not looking busy.
Yeah. Because you're doing a very good job, you see. That's the hope. That's the hope and expectation. Okay, any other point? Councillor Wood?
Yeah, just, this is an old chestnut, but we're still getting problems with people parking outside the schools. Certainly down at Knipsley School there. People double parking on half and half on the pavement. Families who are having to go into the road to take the kids around the car because they can't get past because it's parked half and half on. Do we do any formula checks on
We've been
these?
to Woodhouse today, and it is a nightmare. It's put every school in Biddulph is the same, similar. Every school in Stoke similar.
Have we issued any tickets to them?
Right, because the council took our powers to ticket people, so we would only say you need to move on. You know, if they'd left their vehicle and you couldn't get a pushchair, wheelchair by the side, then that's different. It's obstruction. We can have the car removed, but they sat in it, so we have to just say you need to move because you're blocked. You know, you've not left enough space. I know in Stoke, and I don't think they do it over the moorlands. There's like a little camera van that the council will often go round with it in schools, and it picks up, and then they can then ticket the cars causing these issues. But I've never seen one on the moorlands, so I don't think it's something we've got access to.
Something I think for the future, because it's getting worse, let's be honest. Yeah, and I've said it before, if some of the parents, they park the car in the classroom if they got to. You know, and it's okay us saying, well, it's the district's, you know, enforcement officers and whatever. But there's going to be a serious accident one day. I've no doubt about it. And we've got to be sort of proactive. And if it's a case of, you know, just knocking on windows, going around once a month or what, you know, around to the schools and just knocking on the windows and saying you parked on the pavement, that's a criminal offence, move your car or what, just a deterrent.
We do try and do that, particularly around James Bateman and Woodhouse.
Yeah.
But it's hard because they all kick out at the same time. So it's very hard, really. I know the primary schools I can attend, and we've had funding, and they've got these little metal.
Seen them, yeah.
They are really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's funding somewhere where we can perhaps get them into around more the Biddulph schools. I think Biddulph Moor, the little primary school got them. I think they've got them, and all the teachers, we've never had a bad thing about them. They work.
Yeah.
Because if you put a cone, people will move them, people will run over them, people will take them over night time, whereas the little people are put out by must be caretaker.
Yeah.
You don't get skill in there.
Any other points? Okay, thank you very much.
Right.
Pleasure to see you
It's been.
next month.
Through.
Good stuff.
Right,
Right,
councillor Flunder,
Okay,
chapter
I will.
2.
chapter 2. Yes, so and Happy New Year to you. Right, okay. Carry on. It's 23-24. So it goes back 3 years. It's not a good situation at the moment, but It does look like that most of these accounts will be caught up to date by hopefully by the time we do the full council meeting that looks after the budgeting later this year, quite early in the year. So if any of you got any comments on any of those, please let me know as well. Corporate parenting panel, I think we had a quick chat before the meeting about the care leavers and what's been going on there. It's something I've been working on myself for some time now with the members of the committee and the officers. We're looking at doing new groups to allow children with disabilities and other things to come more easily to open sessions and evenings. It's difficult for some of these children to socialise and things like that. So we are trying to work at different ways of doing that. A lot of it's around confidence, and I'm hoping to go and see what they're doing in Cheadle, which hopefully will be something that I can report back on to what will be happening here in Biddulph. There is some work still ongoing. I'll let you know. I've had some more meetings potentially arranged. They may not happen yet, but there is still some work going on in the background from Jonathan and his team. There was also a members event during which all members, and I don't know whether Nigel was there, it's probably clashed with another meeting, I'm not sure, where we discussed the community strategy. I don't know whether you were, yeah.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite a good little meeting. And we're now looking at trying to get a community strategy ready for June. Wow, if they can move that quick. But it'd be good to see. There are two surveys that you can now link to through the council website. One is for residents and the other one are for partners. They call them partners and businesses that are related to particularly to community activities, but also anything to do with entertainment, festivals, all this sort of thing. So please, if you can, just anyone that you know that you think should be taking part in this survey, please can you let them know. They've only got until January the 31st to put their survey in, which will then be part, and we've got another members meeting to discuss all those, hopefully early in February or is it late January? I think it might be actually. But anyway, so that's all happening as well. And last but not least, highways and DHP, what joy. I've had a quick look at the conifers that have reported meetings back. I think I'm going to have to get the tree officer out because they look fairly healthy, the trees that have been mentioned.
It's the encroachment which
Yeah.
is the issue, isn't it?
But the path is still clear and everything else from what I can see. So it's only when wind's up, I do say they might be pretty frightening things. I think my only concern is if they blow over, you know, down that narrow pathway. But anyway, so I might have a word with the tree officer. I've got planning on next Thursday, so I'll have a chat with them then. The working group, for residents to the traffic flow, which we've just been talking about, and everything else there. I had a meeting with the road, with my community team, and they thought it's a good idea. We talked through, it's about 3 pages of ideas and concepts here. So I'm hoping that we can rearrange another meeting. Nigel and anyone else that wants to come along, please let me know. And we're looking at possible things that may or may not be of interest to try and improve traffic flow and all that type of thing around the schools at those times, the congestion times. And you mentioned the buddies. They're called buddies, the little signs. It was actually mentioned, and I'm hopefully going to get response back from Henna very quickly about from the Road Safety Partnership about what funding may or may not be coming from the county on that. So you sort of reread my mind there, Chris. So I think that's it. And then finally, potholes. And also down St David's Way, they were looking at gritting outside the nursing home. I think that's a good idea. I don't think we can put it on a gritting route, but the idea maybe of putting some sort of grit bin there or something like that they can use down that slope outside the nursing home might be useful. So I'll investigate that. Unfortunately, as I say, I've never heard of any expansion to the gritting route yet in my time as being a county councillor. There's also someone's called it a pothole, but I think it's more of a sinkhole down Millhays Road. And thanks for the comedy of finding a piece of road in the pothole. Very good. But I think that's almost the case down Millhays Road. It seems to have appeared very quickly and seems to be growing exponentially. So I just hope it's not a big sinkhole. We did have one down Millhays Road on the other side of the water, you know, where the water runs underneath the road from the lake up the other side, and there were 2 sinkholes there over a couple of years. So I know it's a phenomenon that occurs in that part of the world. So I will be reporting that and letting them know. And then finally, Albert Street, there was another pothole, which I don't think is a very deep one, but nonetheless, I will try and put that on because it came from one of the residents. So I'll leave it there. There's about another 1,000 potholes I could mention, but I won't, but there we go, that's just 2.
Councillor Hawley, because he's in front of me, followed by Councillor Redfern. Sorry.
Yeah, councillor Flunder, you're talking about the gritting routes. Can we make sure, as far as gritting routes are concerned, that all fronts of schools and around schools are gritted? Because I know for a fact Biddulph Mall has been a big problem with gritting, potentially around that area, that the school itself, it makes it very difficult for basically cars, children, adults, because basically they don't grit the roads around there. I know it's a sort of off the sort of main area, but it is an important area. And I think it goes the same for all the schools. Potentially when the kids are at school, those areas should be gritted because there is a large amount of traffic in that area when children are going to school and when they're being picked up. So if that can be raised with your gritting committee or whatever it is, to have a look at that and to make sure that those areas are gritted when possible.
You can just come back on that.
Yeah, I think you come back. I think
That's on my division.
Yeah.
I've got a meeting with the divisional highways team at Ladderidge the end of next week. So I've just made a note of that. Generally speaking, the schools are covered on the basis that they're on a buzz run. And it's the buzz routes which are concentrated on for gritting. But what we could probably look at is look at provision of a gritting bin there, as opposed to the route to go down. It's very hard. When I asked for another road to be considered for gritting, they said, yes, certainly, no problem, Councillor Yates. Which one would you like taken off instead? So it's down to capacity at the end of the day.
And it's the main routes in and out.
And it's the school routes and the connecting routes to the villages, which is the priority. But we'll look at gritting bins and see what we can do.
And the emergency services tend to dictate the routes as to where they can get to and from, even when the snows and the ice is on the floor, where they run the grit.
Yeah, sort of what's it, the chair. I did raise this with the previous councillor, but it didn't seem to get anywhere. So I think if we can do something, because obviously in Biddulph Moor, when the roads are bad, because the school is not actually in the centre of the village, you tend to find that area becomes pretty bad.
Myself and Ian actually put in an extra load of grit that was down at the bus depot, which was used around all the areas of Biddulph that needed it. But that hasn't happened since. So I think that's something that perhaps myself and Nigel need to look at.
Perhaps looking at a community safety initiative as opposed to looking at it as a road gritting, because it's the footpaths as well, the fact that the kid is walking around. So perhaps looking a little bit sideways,
somebody can look at it anyway.
Yeah, we'll look at it. It's down. Councillor Redfern. Councillor.
Just a couple of quick ones. The first one is there was a serious incident of fly tipping on the public highway by Lasgate Chapel. Obviously, it is a responsibility usually of the district council. I was just interested to know whether the district council will be charging the county council as the owner of the road for the removal of the thing. But it was a major problem. Certainly when I went past on Sunday, it had all got signs that had all been bollarded off. There is obviously a well-known feature in the area where a lot of tipping takes place. I hope it wasn't a spillage from one of the wagons that was taking stuff to there, but it did look like a deliberate thing. It is something that I think is growing in the area at the moment and really does need highlighting. The other thing is sinkholes. Yes, Millhays, that area is renowned for them. Quite often the sports pitch has been out of action in the past. Good sinkholes have opened up actually on the football pitches there and things. So it's the nature of, I believe, the soil itself just lends itself to sinkholes around there.
And if I just come back on the fly tipping. Fly tipping's under me at district. And I have had a meeting with the head of environmental services and the executive place today. I've asked that there is a communications put out to basically advise people about, you know, the fly tipping dangers. Basically, don't do it. I've also requested that every single instance of fly tipping, which is cleared up by the district council, is inspected to see if they can find any identification of source. And one thing I want to stress for public viewing as well, it's not only the person who tips the fly tipping, it's the person whose waste originates from, because they are responsible from household to disposal. So just because they give it to a third party person on the cheap, if they dispose of it, the householder is still responsible for not disposing of that waste. What I've also done is highlighted to the officers that there has been a change in central government policy, and maximum fines for fly tipping have been more than doubled. And I have asked those maximum fines in the Staffordshire Moorlands to be increased to the national level, so that there's a greater deterrent, there's a greater chance of inspection, plus also we are increasing the communication so that, you know, we warn people and advise people that we don't do it. It's a policy which has worked very successfully in Stoke-on-Trent, and I'm not proud. I can borrow somebody else's policy if it's working properly, and that's what we're doing in the Staffordshire Moorlands. So yes, but again, I implore people, see any fly tipping on the public highway, report it through the reporting system. It is quite a very efficient service which we operate at Staffordshire Moorlands. So,
If we're just talking about schools, Mansfield First School, there's no grit box on Gun Street, and that isn't gritted.
I think you've highlighted that before, so I'll include that with all the different elements that we're talking of now.
are we okay for Councillor Flunder there?
Okay, thank you very much.
Right, thanks. Yes, thanks, Keith. Over to me. I won't duplicate what's been said. Just one comment. Very pleased to see yesterday that the new 95 bus service, which connects Biddulph, most importantly to Kidsgrove Railway Station, goes on to Affinity and then shares the route with Audley Parish Council, who were very keen to introduce a bus service between Audley and Kidsgrove as well. So we've got a new bus service which connects the two. And I think it's designed, the timetable is designed, so it services students in Biddulph who want to go to both Staffordshire University and Stoke sixth form colleges, allows them to get to Kidsgrove Station and be collected from Kidsgrove Station in plenty of time to catch a train to get there. So it really is a good quality commuting service. Kidsgrove Station is picked because it has an awful lot more trains than Congleton, goes to an awful lot more destinations. So we're very, very, very pleased to see that. It also services Affinity Retail Park. So anybody who wants a day out, especially those who benefit from a bus pass, fantastic rural network, brilliant views, especially in the spring and summer, and go and do your shopping and attract people into Biddulph. So yes, very pleased about that. Potholes have been mentioned. I'm very, very much aware of the situation in Wharf Road. Wharf Road was due to be surface treated and resurfaced in autumn. However, for unavoidable circumstances, it had to be postponed, so it's got to be rescheduled. I have a meeting, as I mentioned, with the highways team next week, just to ensure that that is put back on the schedule. I'm expecting it to be put back and done at the same time as the surface treatment's going to be done on the roundabouts going to be done on Meadows Way, the A527 through town, which is scheduled for doing in this next financial year. So we really are looking forward to doing that. As Councillor Flunder mentioned, we've got a new DHP allowance coming in April, which is £7,500. Very difficult to make it do much, but we can seed fund a few things. So I've got a few ideas which I'll speak to individual councils about, but don't expect miracles on that. But what it does do, it allows us to sit in front of the highways teams 4 times a year and then move the conversation on to other things which are equally more important. Biddulph North District councillors have been alerted, and we're going to discuss the planning next week. There's been a request to formalise a bridle path around the Troughstons, which I think we're going to discuss at planning, aren't we, Chief Officer? Yeah, so we're going to discuss that. So we're looking out for that. And the other thing which I'll mention coming up, focused on the community strategy, is that Staffordshire County Council have got a new volunteers policy, which provides third-party insurance, indemnity and cover and the framework for regular volunteers, which is principally people who volunteer to do, you know, days and shifts at libraries and whatever. We are looking, and at the moment we've had positive indications that it'll go forward, that it will also include ad hoc volunteers, which means any volunteers who want to do some work on county-owned land or property, for example, stretches of the Biddle Valley Way, for example, footpaths and stiles and little bits of maintenance on trees and things, is that as long as they boot themselves in, they'll be covered on county insurance as volunteering teams. It's something which was requested. I was working on it before, but it's something which was requested by the Biddle Ramblers, and I'd like to think that we're going to get a conclusion on that very soon, a positive conclusion. That's it for me. Thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Could I ask that this council sends a letter of thanks to Jonathan Dulles for his input in getting the bus from Biddleton to Kids Road and to Oldham, please?
No.
I'll go for a vote.
No. Any other questions? Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Can we move on? So moving on, item 68 is apologies. Now, as I mentioned before, we've got apologies from our Ken Harper, and we wish him a speedy recovery. We've also had apologies from Andrew Hart, John Jones, Councillor Proudlove and Councillor Smith. Just give a late apology. What I also have to ask for at this moment is that we need to request a dispensation for Councillor Sylvia Rushton, who's had one bout of illness after another and has been unable to attend. And what we need to do is that we need to agree as a town council that we can allow that dispensation to allow Councillor Rushton to continue as a councillor. So recommendation is for 2 months.
Up to your discretion. Let somebody make a proposal.
So if anybody wants to make a comment, or if anybody would like to make a proposal on, putting that forward, and or the timescale. I understand she is feeling a lot better now, and she's back on her feet and back on cable. So back and able. So we're hoping it shouldn't be too long. But Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move to a 3 months dispensation for Councillor. She's a really hard-working councillor, and it must be frustrating to death. So, I just hope as, she has a speedy recovery. I know she is getting better. So I'd like to move a 3 months dispensation.
Councillor Rogers.
I'd like to second that. So we all know Sylvia, Councillor Sylvia Rushton, she's a very good councillor. Due to her unfortunate health at the moment, she can't be with us, but I'll second the 3 months, then we'll assess it in 3 months' time.
Excellent. Can we go to the vote? Can we have all those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving forward on the agenda, item number 69, declarations of interest. First part is, have we got any declarations of any disposable pecuniary interests or dispensations? Councillor Parks.
Yes, I had a chat with the chief officer just to confirm, just that when you're actually going through the minutes, the finance minutes do make reference to taking off the mask, which of course is Jackson.
Any other councillors? Councillor Hopkins.
I make pecuniary interest, please. That's like some light bulbs.
Okay, which are in the accounts.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And is there any declarations of any other interests? No? Okay, moving on. We're looking to approve the minutes of previous meetings which have been held. So the first minutes are the meetings of the town council. Bear with me when I find them. So let's go through them as we normally do. So present, in attendance. Item 49, public participation. Happy with that? Apologies. Item 51, declarations of interest. Item 52, the minutes of the previous meeting. Item 53, mayor's communications. Item 54, standing agenda items. Items 55, to approve revised national salary scales for 23-24. Item 56, to receive an update of outside bodies attended in the past month. Item 57, to include the recommendation from Town and Community Committee that the Town Council will commission an artist for the Station Road art installation commencing in the new year. Item 58, to receive an update on the referendum for the neighbourhood plan and the neighbourhood development order. Item 59, to confirm additional spend and final arrangements for Christmas light switch on in the town centre on 25th of November. Item 60, accounts and finance. We went on to confidential items. Item 61, to receive an update on proposals from the asset team at Staffordshire Moors District Council. Item 62, to confirm new storage arrangements for the town council market equipment. Item 63, to receive an update regarding the installation of mining lamps and to agree further actions. Item 64, to receive an update on the Shared Prosperity Fund and agree priorities. Item 65, to consider funding the support Staffordshire Community Officer role for Biddulph 2024-25. And item 66, to confirm the provider of Christmas light installations and maintenance from 2024 to 2027. Any comments there? Councillor Rogers?
Yes, clarification slightly on 63. I won't go on details, but at this moment in time, the miners' lamps will be moved a week tomorrow to the contractors who should be preparing them in the future. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor Salt?
Can I just have some clarification as to when we're allowed to announce that to the public, although I think Councillor Rogers just asked.
I suppose on YouTube, sorry, yeah.
I think we should probably wait to see what goes on with funding.
Yes, there is a couple of outstanding issues with regards to funding and the sharing of that funding, but yes. In due course. I'll sign these now, no other interjections?
Do a show of hands.
No show of hands, show acceptance? That's unanimous, thank you. That's finishing.
It'd be better to have a proposer in a second.
Oh, can I have a proposer, please?
Second.
Councillor Jackson. Second, Councillor Garvey.
Okay, agreed. Thank you.
I'm doing my apprenticeship at this moment in time. I'll be fine too.
Yes, you do need to initial those.
Just bear with me. I've got off of initials to do. Verbal one. Yeah.
But no. Before.
So the next one is the minutes of the Recreation and Amenities Committee. Again, present. In attendance. 38 apologies. 39 declarations of interest. 40 minutes. 41 to consider future plans for the new Garden of Remembrance at Woodhouse Burial Ground. 42 item requested by Councillor Harper to identify a new burial site as soon as possible. Item 43 to consider the budget for this committee for the 2024-25 year. 2023-24 information was provided for the meeting. Item 44, jobs for the lensman, which is a standing item. Yeah. Item 45, to consider future rent payable by the cafe at the visitor centre. Item 46, to consider adding a spouse to existing allotment tenancy agreements. And item 47, to consider land opportunities within the town. Are there any issues raised there? Can I have a proposer? Councillor Parks, can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Lawson, have a change, and can I have a show of hands accepting those minutes? Okay, that's unanimous. So the next ones are the minutes of the planning committee. It's held on Tuesday, 21st of November. Present. In attendance. Apologies. Declarations of interest. Minutes. Standing agenda item to consider any proposed sites for local listings. 54, to receive any update on the neighbourhood plan and neighbourhood development order referendum. Item 55, new planning applications. Item 56, to consider supplementary applications received since the agenda was created, of which there was none. Item 57, new decisions and notices received from the district council. No comments were received. Item 58, appeals. Any comments on those? Can we have a proposer?
Move those minutes.
Councillor Hawley, have a seconder, please. Councillor Redfern, can we have a show of hands accepting those minutes? Unanimous, thank you very much. Next one is to receive the minutes of the Town and Community Committee meeting held on 21st November 23. Present. In attendance. Item 39, apologies. Item 40, declarations of interest. Item 41, minutes. Item 42, to receive an update on Christmas events and activities. Item 43, to receive an update on potential arts and culture activities in the new year. Item 44, to receive an update on the older people's feasibility study work. Item 45, to confirm tree planting arrangements for Sunday the 3rd of December, which was subsequently snowed off, but that's not in the minutes. Item 46, to receive an update on the Library of Things proposal. Item 47, to consider a budget for this committee for the 2024-25 year. Years 2023-24 information was attached. And in confidential items was to consider and approve storage options. Are there any comments relating to those minutes? Can I have a proposer? Proposer Councillor Garvey. Can I have a seconder? Seconder Councillor Salt. And can I have a show of hands accepting those minutes? Thank you very much. And the final set of minutes you'll be pleased to hear is the minutes of the Finance Strategy and Management Committee.
Those minutes, Mr. Deputy Mayor, please.
Certainly, don't mind if I go through them, Chair. Present, in attendance, 52 apologies, 53 declarations of interest, 54 minutes, 55 accounts matters, 56 to consider a deputy health and safety monitoring councillor, and 57 a review of policies, which was to approve the co-option policy, to approve the petitions policy, to approve the reviewed severe winter management policy, to approve the investment strategy, and to approve the loan working policy. Standing items were to consider the disposal of any assets and also to confirm any new approved suppliers. Confidential items was to receive an update on CCTV proposals for the town centre. 60 was to consider the current process for fuel card top-ups as part of Biddulph Works Together project and to make suitable amendments which were attached. Item 61 was to receive a general update on Biddulph Works Together projects. Item 62 was to receive a verbal update on the progress with the Bellway land transfer at Briarswood. Item 63 was to receive a verbal update on the Citizens Advice Office relocation. Item 64 was to receive a verbal update on agreements regarding asset management on District Council land. Item 65 was to confirm storage arrangements for market and event equipment. And item 66 was to approve a series of quotations which were tabled. Are there any comments with regards to those minutes? Councillor Jackson.
Just on the CCTV, and obviously I don't want an update now, but if there's any movement on it at all, can we perhaps have a chat about it in confidential later in the meeting? If there is any movement, if not.
I haven't got anything to sort it.
Okay,
I'll put it back on finance next time.
thank you.
So we, I propose, can I have a second, please? Councillor Salt. And can I have a show of hands accepting those minutes? Excellent. That's unanimous. Just let me sign those if you don't mind.
Sorry, so obviously I should abstain from that, so it shouldn't be unanimous.
Okay, so moving on. Item 71 is Mayor's Communications. I was a little bit unprepared for this, so you'll be pleased now I haven't got much to communicate. The only thing which I will say is that the annual Knipersley Pool Run, which supports the Mayor's charities, is taking place on the Sunday, the 25th of February. So you've all got around about 6 weeks to get fit.
Working on it.
Councillor Wood's working on it, but yes, we can have a posse. The pacemaker is as our town crier. So yes, it's usually very well attended event. So we look forward to seeing a lot of people there. So yes, we look forward to that. Is there anything else which you think I should mention?
I don't think so.
Slow on events at the moment. Okay, moving on. Item 72, standing agenda items. I will introduce these and hand these over to our Chief Officer. A, to receive an update on the management of Town Council assets.
Thank you. So at a previous meeting, I confirmed that we'd had an approach from the assets team with regards to extended leases or more formalised arrangements with regards to an allotment at Slater Street, the toilets at Wharf Road and the called Sainsbury's toilets, the active toilets, and at the visitor centre. I've sent feedback in relation to those heads of terms following discussion with our solicitor about the points that we would consider amending, and they are now with the district council legal team. So as soon as we get some more formal feedback and a lease for you to review, I'll bring that back.
Space at the front of the town hall.
Yeah, I've got no update on that. What I will just say at the moment is we've got a significant amount of antisocial behaviour at the toilets on Wharf Road. Over Christmas, we lost pretty much every one of our toilet roll dispensers and soap dispensers, and we've had to order a new baby changing table because somebody felt like climbing on that, jumping on it was a great idea. So you'll see replacement items come through for your payment approval, but absolutely that's necessary in order for us to continue to operate a decent facility. But I will say to you, as I've said before, that actually it's starting to cost quite a lot of money to keep them in good condition. And I think probably, as we consider additional CCTV, I think that will be important down there as well. Hopefully a deterrent.
Yes, is it possible to do something like a ring camera recorded on there?
No.
We put it as part of the overall package.
Our overall package.
Okay, Councillor Salt.
A couple of points. It's really exciting to see that Slater Street is getting there, especially since it's been like 9 years for me, longer for Kevin, since we've been talking about Slater Street. So I just want to make that noted that that's really exciting. And the second thing is about the toilets. Have we got signage to say basically stop being stupid and trashing stuff?
I've done that before when we've had to, sorry, Chair, when we've had to close the gents' toilets before because of some of the activity that went on there. I put a sign on that said, due to continued vandalism, this facility is closed. Obviously, the disabled toilet was open at that point. But yeah, I can do that. I'm not sure it'll make a difference, if I'm honest.
Stop my fly tipping since I wrote my handwritten posters next to the shipping, let me tell you. They haven't done it.
And stop me from catching them.
I think that's an option, and I wonder whether a bit of A bit of social media work might be, you know, some of the photos we've got of the state that people have left that toilet.
Peer
It's
pressure.
absolutely revolting.
It's a bit of public shaming, I think.
Yeah.
sometimes.
And as well, I think people think it's a free facility, but it's not. You know, every time we have to spend, you know, money on a new soap dispenser or a toilet roll dispenser or a baby changing table, they're not pennies. It's people's, you know, coming out of people's coffers.
One more.
Can we send some pictures to the Chronicle then? I think it's worth raising the fact that
Raising it as a sort of
Story.
news story, you know, we've suffered the spate of vandalism, the council are committed to repairing that kind of thing. However, you know, this is a cost to the taxpayer. The local council taxpayers wouldn't do any harm with the peer pressure. I'll leave that with you.
Yeah, I think if you're open to the idea of kind of making it a bit more public knowledge, then I'm happy to kind of look into that. I suppose it depends have to think about how to pitch it exactly, but yeah, it's just disappointing because actually towns and villages around us are closing their public toilets because of that and not opening them again. And actually, we've got a really good facility right in the town centre that you know is at risk because it costs a lot of money to maintain it to a decent standard. So I think it's just disappointing.
Yeah. It is an absolute asset, and it's there to be used. It's not there to be abused. And I think it's a little bit like the fly tipping discussion earlier on. You know, it's part of the thing is people know they shouldn't do it, but they should know that everybody knows they shouldn't do it and everybody is watching. You know, it's a similar kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to receive an update on health and safety activities, including any risk assessment works which are being done. Again, over to you, Chief Officer.
Thank you. So I'm not sure if Councillor Holdsworth knows this yet. Depends whether he's checked his emails. I've emailed him as our new deputy for Health and Safety Monitoring Councillor and Councillor Harper, just to suggest that sometime in week commencing the 29th of January, we try to resume those monitoring activities. So the first thing that we'll do is a walk around all of the sites, and then we'll slot back in with that depending on their availability.
So I think it's reasonable to welcome you as our new deputy health and safety officer, council.
So what, you've sent me an email?
Yeah.
On your new computer?
You sure you've sent it?
I done it today. Our discussion yesterday.
So, Councillor Salt,
don't roll your eyes.
have you had a quiet Christmas?
No, rack. Have we had an update?
Rack.
Rack.
No.
No.
Need an update on rack. Have you heard that wind? Thank you.
Rack. Yes.
See a crack up there.
To receive an update on the Biddleford Works Together project.
Thank you. So we are very much looking forward to a presentation by Councillor Salt in her other capacity tomorrow in relation to her research project around the effects and the impact of Biddleford Works Together. So that's the meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I think, unless they tell me differently tomorrow, that all groups are currently active and providing food, which is really important because just before Christmas, we had an email from the food bank to say they were limiting people's the availability of food bank referrals to people to 3 in a 6-month period. And they just did that overnight, which I think obviously if they haven't got the capacity to do that, then that's absolutely fine for them to do. But obviously it puts a bit more pressure onto people. So we're still able to make food bank referrals, but obviously people used to have 5 in a 6-month period and now not able to do that. So we're just keeping on top of that.
Yes, from my point of view, just an interjection there is that work which you've done, Councillor Salt, is excellent, very, very laudable, very good to see. I'd love to share that at the soonest opportunity with the county, because certainly the county were very, very interested in what we were doing with Biddleford Works Together, because I put a couple of community grants to them, citing that it was part of the Biddleford Works Together project, and they were very impressed with the documentation, the paperwork, and what was available on the town council website. And potentially it's an example of what other towns and parishes and even districts can look at doing themselves. What they did come back with is there's actually a directory, isn't there, of warm spaces which we should consider using as well. I'll mention it to yourself as a chief officer.
Good.
Which I think would be very helpful. Any other comments before councillor Salt comes back. No, councillor Salt, finish this one.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the recommendations that you'll see when it's presented tomorrow is that the town council does share. And one of the ways to do that is actually present to other local authorities like county council. So it'd be wonderful if you could engage with the chief officer, perhaps get the chief officer to knit to county as part of one of the meetings and actually present the work that Biddulph does there. That's one of the recommendations. But tomorrow is the presentation of the draft report, which is people can pick out any typos. So this is the third draft. So hopefully we're getting there now with typos, which will be presented tomorrow. So it's just a copy off the printer, but hopefully by sort of the end of next week or the week after, we'll have a nice glossy copy that all councillors can have a copy of and share in the community. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Moving on to item 73, to receive an update on outside body meetings attended since the November 2023 meeting. Updates on the following meetings, if you don't mind, if I take them in order. First one, have we got an update from Biddulph and Bloom?
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Okay. Morelands Assembly. Councillor Rogers.
Yeah, I won't carp on it. I went to Morelands Assembly representing Biddulph. I won't discuss it too much because it's actually item 74. So I'll sit down.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Staffordshire Parish Councils Association. Councillor Rogers.
Yeah, a bit more of an update on that one. I've been going to Stafford for the best part of 20 years, I think it is now. And our new chief executive had a good idea, which we thought on the start of it, that we'd move around the area so people don't have to travel distance at times. It actually made it was an 85-mile round trip for me to go to Burton-on-Trent. That's where the venue had been moved to last time. So actually put me a pods and thought I just physically couldn't get there. I was finished work, I couldn't get there on time. Unfortunately, the chief exec is off with stress related at the moment. Hopefully we'll be back very soon. So I will keep you in touch with what's going on there. Thank you.
There's an issue though, because if moving it around and hypothetically move it to Biddulph, then Biddulph is an awful long way from Tamworth and Lichfield, isn't it?
Yeah, it was Burton-on-Trent. I googled it.
Yeah.
5-mile round trip for me that night.
That's reasonably central as well. Not being funny. Yeah. Morelands Partnership Board. That's Councillor Hart normally, isn't it?
I don't think they've met since
anyway.
November.
They haven't met since November, so that's fine.
Canberra's.
Twinning Association, is any news from Twinning? No. And Fair Trade, have we got any comment regarding Fair Trade? No. Okay, thank you. Now, number 74, as Councillor Rogers rightly says, to consider a response in relation to the attached letter regarding the Parish Assembly. Have we all read the attached letter? Councillor Rogers, would you like to make comments?
No. Well, I have to bring a chief executive on this, chief officer in on this, please. Involves her. Thank you.
Do you want me to summarise the letter? I haven't
Yeah, there's
read
a lot of
it.
words there, isn't there?
So the letter is from Councillor Lynn Swindlehurst, who's the chairperson at the moment of Staffordshire Morelands District Council. She's saying what a great honour it is to chair the parish assembly, and she's taking this role very seriously. She's heard a great deal about the current information about parish and town councils, and would like to include some ideas for discussion. One of the themes across the country appears to be the growing power and responsibility developed to the authority most local level in the community. I haven't read that right.
No.
That is exactly what it says.
Should say devolve.
Should say devolve, not
It should
devolve.
say devolve.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, devolved powers, there we are. It doesn't say. I.e. town and parish councils, it was recognised during the pandemic just how local knowledge and connectivity is valued, efficient and effective. I'd like to include the clerks and their teams to participate in the parish assembly more actively, as I believe our shared expertise, knowledge and enthusiasm could lead to collaborative and efficient sharing, e.g. in areas such as grant applications. I'd appreciate any comments from each parish and town council. I'm hoping clerks or a representative will attend future meetings.
You're going to need a bigger room. You're going to go to future meetings.
I think that depends whether you want me to go to future meetings and whether you've got any particular requests or considerations as regards the content of those meetings, things that you'd like them to consider.
Councillor Rogers, Councillor Salt, Councillor Rogers first.
If our chief officer has got time to go, I think it'd be nice for you to go, because some of the people who go there, think you can teach them a lot of things, to be quite honest. But it'd be nice to get involved. We want to get more involved on the ground with chief officers, etc. I think we should take the opportunity if we can, please.
Councillor Salt and then Councillor Redfern.
I withdraw because it's,
I think
although we've got the time, the team have got the time.
Absolutely. Councillor Redfern, Councillor Garvey.
Yeah. I think on the face of it, it does seem like a good idea, providing, as has already been said about the time, because there have been some issues, particularly recently, that have cropped up, such as defibrillators, where I think an earlier discussion perhaps with ourselves would have perhaps led to a more holistic solution rather than we're going to go ahead and do this without actually considering the role, for example, that Biddle has as regards its defibrillators and how we administer ours. It's just an example where I think a bit of joined up thinking would have been quite useful.
Councillor Garvey.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I think it is something we should actually welcome. I think we've said many times in this chamber that Biddle tends to lead the way in a lot of things in the district, and we've made it. Those of us who sit on various district committees have raised things like the Biddle Works Together initiative that was started in this town and it's basically spread out as a best practice, I think. And we are, as a town council, operating best practice from we've seen from the stat that we've achieved. So we should encourage this. We should, I believe, set aside time. We should specifically do that rather than being if we've got time, we should make time, and that should perhaps in that case provide additional resources for the chief officer to enable to take perhaps a leading role in this, as we, I think, have established our credentials as a quality council.
Councillor Hawley.
Yeah, having served on this assembly until the last 12 months, basically the thing that concerns me most is have we got time? And I think potentially, yes, if we have time, then the chief officer or a representative should go. But the other thing to do is actually look at the agenda for what's on, and whether going is actually going to add anything to that agenda. Because I can't see any point in going to some of the meetings where basically you're wasting your time. And that is, I think, one of the things that we need to do is actually look at the agenda and then for a decision to be made whether or not we need to go, or whether the chief officer needs to go to that meeting. That is really where I would come from, because it is obviously, I know it's only 4 meetings a year, but basically when you sort of consider all the council meetings and everything, it's time. And I think what we should do is say, yes, we'll go, but only if it's actually appropriate to go.
What I like to sort of put forward. Yeah, just before you come in, if you don't mind, what I'd like to sort of steer this down, because I think Councillor Hawley is absolutely right. There's no point in going to a meeting which doesn't have any relevance. It's just time for time's sake, to be perfectly honest. I'm just wondering whether, if we do go to a proposal, it is along the lines that we would encourage the chief officer to attend, and we'd encourage the chief officer to use their discretion on whether attendance is a validity or usefulness to the attendance on against a particular agenda. But perhaps that's a direction we should potentially end up with as a proposal. But we'll see what happens on the floor. Councillor Wood first.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, in terms of Councillor Hawley, I agree with what you went. Sometimes you look at the agendas and you go, well, it's a waste of time you're going. But I don't know if the assemblies are anything like some of the meetings I have to go to, where most of the work's done not on the agenda. It's by talking to people and learning from what's happening in other areas. And, notwithstanding, you can go to a meeting and you think, oh, the agenda's boring, but somebody might crop up with an idea at the meeting on something completely different, which is relevant to us. So it's a fine balance, Councillor.
Yeah, I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that potentially time is of the essence, and really, we don't want to be going if potentially it's going to be a waste of 2 hours of someone's time.
I'd like to sort of steer as chair as a proposal for the chief officer to attend at the chief officer's discretion. If somebody would like to come up with a proposal.
I'll propose then basically that the chief officer attends these meetings at her discretion when she views.
Could we have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Salt. Councillor Salt has got a small interjection and there's also seconding, I think.
Yes. Chief officer or representative, which is what you said.
Right.
Okay. Are there any counter proposals before we go to the vote? No. Could we have a vote on that proposal that the chief officer attends at her discretion or deputy? That's unanimously carried. Right, good. Yes, that was helpful. Thank you. Item number 75 is to confirm the results of the referendum for the neighbourhood plan and neighbourhood development order and the next steps. Chief Officer.
Thank you. I have offered by email our thanks to those who are involved in the neighbourhood plan and the neighbourhood development order, and you all know, but just to confirm via the minutes that both were approved via the referendum before Christmas, which is a good result. Quite low turnout, but around 88% of people voted yes. That's very positive. So now the plan will be made in the week commencing the 22nd of January via an officer decision. I don't know quite how that works in the district. I think it has to get signed off by a report. And then it's made in that week anyway, 22nd of January. So then it will be a legally binding document and the planning department will, well, both documents will need to consider those with planning applications. So I wonder whether anybody who's potentially new to the council or hasn't been on any neighbourhood plan training for a little while, we did a lot of it in the early days, but less so more recently, would benefit from a briefing about the neighbourhood plan and the implications for the town. And if so, I'll pull something together. Possibly not before this planning committee, but maybe we do something next month and just an overview of what we can do as a planning committee and the things we should look for and that kind of thing.
Yes, very good. Councillor Wood.
What do you think of the idea of having a public meeting in the town, in the main room, to explain to people what it actually means? I know people have gone and voted, you know, and they whatever knowledge they've got about the neighbourhood plan, but I think it might be a bit more, you know, more informative if we have a public meeting with the professional people there, planners and whatever, and get open invite to members of the public if they want to come in and attend.
Council open day, that week council. Was that too far down, too far away? You know, to stand associated with the local plan.
Yeah. Councillor Yates is asking about tea with the town council and whether we advertise that as an option, but it is, we usually do it kind of May, June time when the weather's a bit nice, so it's not straight away, but that could be quite a nice option.
Just a leaflet of some description,
Give it
more information about the practicalities of what it actually means.
Yeah. I think that's quite a good idea, a leaflet, actually, if you'd like to consider that. We've got loads and loads of events that we'll talk to you about this year. So actually we could give that out to a wide range of events, just an overview, I think.
Councillor Rogers, I think, had his hand up.
Councillor Hall.
Yeah, if you finished on that tiny bit there.
Yeah, and then Councillor Jackson, then Councillor Hall.
Just on the neighbourhood plan, I think once the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and it's all gone through the procedure, I think we should start thinking then about how we as a town council use the referendum to actually further some of the things that we want in there, i.e. perhaps a bid to shared prosperity fund for, I don't know, shop fronts is one, and I don't know whether there may be other ideas and other scope within the plan that we've got the power now that doesn't need planning application. It might make it easier, slightly easier anyway, to put something forward for the shared prosperity fund to actually then to say to people, well, we've gone through all this, you know, long drawn out procedures to get this plan in place, and this is a benefit of actually doing it. We've been able to get, you know, X amount of money in to do this or do that, do the other, because we've got the plan in place.
Councillor Rogers, did you have a point to bring forward?
Well, yeah, it's it doesn't, it's really, yeah, exactly like what you're saying, but its first part of this is to confirm the results. And the results wouldn't have been what they are now if it wasn't for the two key people in this room. A big congratulations to our Chief Officer and Councillor Dave Hawley, who's been there from day one. If it wasn't, I know others have been involved, but the two main people in this room are those two people. It's a big thank you to what you've done for us. Thank you.
I think it's very apt that the final comment goes to Councillor Hawley.
Thank you. Oh, right. In terms of what Councillor Wood said, I mean, potentially Sarah did put together a presentation which was actually put on the website, was made available. We did have a session whereby the public were actually invited to come in, and they did come in and speak to us, I think, on 2 occasions, where we explained what it was all about. Whether having an open meeting would actually drag any more in, I'm not sure. I think it's one of these things that a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't really affect me, when it does, and it won't actually hit them until something does happen, that does affect them. So that's something we can consider. In terms of where do we go with the neighbourhood plan? I mean, the first thing is that once it's been signed off by the exec at Staffordshire Moorlands, then potentially it is a legal document. And although we've been sort of, over the last 12, 18 months, been using the policies to affect planning decisions and sort of look at them, we now have to formally come around to doing that, so that any sort of recommendations that we make as a town council or town council planning department, we potentially have to use the neighbourhood plan. And so obviously what we've got to do is start looking at those policies with respect to all planning applications that come in, and that's something that I would like to sort of start moving forward over the next sort of month or two. The other thing is potentially is thanking the people that have actually been involved from the year dot, going back, however many years it's taken. I mean, it has been a long process, which has been held up obviously by COVID. It's also been held up by sort of the planning people at Staffordshire Moorlands, who at times we could quite cheerfully struggle. But we've got there in the end. But the thing is, I'd like to thank those existing councillors who've been involved with it, and also quite a few past councillors that have been involved, the members of the public who served on the working group, and there's a lot of input that was put in by those. I've got special thanks to the Chief Officer. The amount of work that she did was absolutely unbelievable in getting us there. And the other thing, there's 2 consultants that have helped us, Hannah and Dave. And without those consultants, potentially we wouldn't have got there. We reached a point where we got quite a lot of work done, but we needed sort of proper guidance, and they came in and they gave us that guidance, and that's what actually got us to the end. So I'd like to thank those, and I'd like to thank everybody who's actually been involved in it and to actually getting there. It's been a long process. I thought when we started it, myself and Kate had organised the first meeting, and we were sort of looking, perhaps 2 or 3 years would get it done. And how long has it taken? 7? Yeah, I mean, as I say, we've lost 2.5, 3 years through COVID and various other things, but it's been a long process, and we got there in the end. That's the main thing. Thank you.
Yes, well said. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Okay, moving on the agenda, item number 76, accounts and finance. Part 8, to approve accounts to be paid in December 2023 and January 2024. In the December ones have been paid, haven't they?
Yeah.
So expenditure over £500 on the first page.
The B.
That's for B2. Looking at exemptions, is there anything which requires raising there? Is there any comments on those? Okay, happy to move on. Turning the page, expenditure less than £500. There's 2 pages, 2.5 pages of those. Again, looking at exceptions, is there anything which requires raising there? Okay, we've got a supplementary set of accounts, which is being distributed on a separate sheet. Headed January 2024, the town council. Expenditure over £500, which is the 2/3 of page 1. Again, we're looking at exceptions. Is there anything which requires raising there? No. And the final third of that page and the following 2.5 pages is expenditure less than £500. Again, is there anything which requires raising there? Okay, could, councillor Garvey,
Approval of the accounts as they stand.
I was going next. And can we have a second, please? Councillor Rogers?
Yeah, it's just a comment really, with concern in some ways about the Christmas tree floodlight call-out charge. Say about that at some point.
Me to query that?
Yeah.
Want me to query that?
Well, on that particular day, I think you know I check the lights every single day over the Christmas and New Year period. The electricians checked all the lights, and just after they'd left the town, I had a phone call from the caretaker saying the lights in the centre of the town had gone off. So I come down, checked them, couldn't do anything very quickly. They were all the electricians who then left Biddle. They just got into leak. They did come back just before Christmas, thank goodness. And it was the floodlights in those trees there which had gone faulty. That's why there's no floodlights in those trees. I had to disconnect them, which brought the rest of the lights on in the town for the Christmas period. But it just seems a little high, that does, quite honest. But it's just, I don't want to lose them, but it just seems a little high.
Isn't.
A comment, that's all.
Councillor Parks?
Yeah, I'm maybe being absolutely pedantic, but there is a Currys of 916 in the under £500
Right.
amendment. Unless you've gone per Chromebook. And that's
Yeah, we'll change that.
Yeah, we'll change that. So we've had a proposer, we've had that caveat from councillor Rogers, which we'll explore, but otherwise, can we have a second to approve? Councillor Parks, can we have a show of hands? Okay, that's unanimous. So we now move into confidential items. I'd like to thank everybody who has come as a non-councillor, and certainly thank John Robinson, the town crier. Your attendance is appreciated, who's now off. And I'd like to thank all our viewers on YouTube. We're going to have to switch over to confidential items now. So if we can just have a pause while the technology changes over.
Yeah.